Hi there, Sydney Brown, and welcome back to the Sydney Brown, the Memoir Mastermind Writing and Publishing for Beginners channel. So today we're going to talk about the top 10 things to avoid when writing your personal memoir. Now, a lot of the times people will talk about what you need to do, but I think it's also important to not only, structure the whole thing about what you should do, but let's be real. We want to know what you shouldn't do, because you don't want to accidentally throw in something that really shouldn't have been in there. So, because a memoir is truly a powerful and intimate way to share your story and your experiences with others. We want to make sure that you're using it properly. Honestly, I hate to even say that, because it is such a personal thing that I don't want you to feel like you're regulated or regimented into anything, because if it comes out of you, it should be able to just fall out, and then you make sense of it later. So when I say this, I'm talking to the you that has already thrown out a bunch of stuff on paper, and maybe you just aren't sure what order to put it in or what not to put in there at all. So stuff like that. So let's talk about these for what you don't do after you've already let the creativity fall out. And falling out creatively is a good thing, by the way. I know it probably sounds a little weird, but I have little terms that sometimes I'll just make stuff up. And, when you let something fall out of you, to me, that's a good thing. So, let's go ahead and jump into this, because in this video, we're going to explore the top 10 mistakes to avoid. Make sure that your memoir is captivating, that it's authentic, that it's honest, and that it's, most importantly, impactful, because you're doing this to reach your readers, right? So let's go ahead, let's dive in and make sure that you and your story shines. All right, so here we go. The top 10 things to avoid when writing your personal memoir. Number 1, overloading it with details. I'm a writer. I like words. I use them a lot, but you can definitely overload. You can overload an email. You can overload a conversation. You can certainly overload your memoir with details. So details are important. You want to be very specific and go in deep at times, but you don't want to overwhelm the narrative. So focus on the most significant and relevant details that actually contribute to and move your story forward, and we'll probably leave the rest out. Now remember, as I go through these, this is stuff that you will think about after you've already just poured everything out of you. So number 2, lack of structure. Now, if you are a person who flies by the seat of your pants and you just let things happen, that's a good thing, to let the emotions and let the stories just fall out of you. But when it comes time to organize, you must organize. You need that structure. So organizing your memoir with a clear structure and a logical progression, making it easier for your reader to follow along, get engaged, stay engaged, understand what you're saying, and then take that journey with you. That's what you want. So you must have that structure. So lack of structure is something that you avoid. All right, number 3, unresolved conflicts. Now, what I mean by this is, in your story, you're going to, let's say it's about a time when you were a teenager and you ran away from home. So you're going to talk about, the fighting with the parents, or the this or the that, and running away from home, and maybe some bad things that happened while you were out there, fending for yourself, whatever. And as you wrap up the story in your mind, you know the details. And so you may say, and then I met this guy and got married and happily ever after. And your reader is going to be like, whoa, what? So you don't want to leave out the unresolved conflicts. And by conflicts, I don't necessarily mean fights. A conflict, in my opinion, the way I'm using it here, is any sort of something that you have to overcome, a conflict being an obstacle. So don't leave unresolved obstacles, because that your reader will be like, whoa, I feel like you started a story and then you just teased me with it. And now I've got this big cliffhanger that I don't know if you're ever going to tell me the whole story. So don't do that to your reader. Let them be satisfied at the end of your story. Let them know enough of the details that they feel happy for you, that they feel accomplished with you. They've taken that journey. So don't leave anything that leaves them wondering. Now, we'll talk about cliffhangers later, but cliffhangers have a purpose, but it should not be on your primary storyline. Okay, so number 4, ignoring emotional impact. So don't be shy and don't avoid exploring and conveying the emotions that you experienced during the key moments of your story. Let's talk again, like pretend you're a runaway. Talk about how you were terrified that first time you snuck behind a trash dumpster and slept there, hoping that every crack, every sound that you heard, every smell, every time you heard a voice or heard some guys walking by, something like that, that you felt terrified because you just knew that your life was at risk with every sound that you heard. Make sure that your reader really understands your emotions and how you felt, how it scared you, how it thrilled you, how whatever that emotion was for you in your story. Make sure that reader understands how you felt so that they can feel it with you. So you don't want to ignore the emotional impact. Make sure that you share that. Number 5, inconsistencies. So you want to ensure that your memoir is consistent as far as tone, style, tense, and maintain a smooth and engaging reading experience for them. If they don't have all of those things, they're going to probably follow your story for a while, but if it's too much effort, they'll just put the book down. If they put the book down, they're not going to leave a good review if you're trying to sell this book. If this is a personal story, obviously, if you've shared it only with very close friends and family, they're going to hang on your every word anyway because they love you, because they want that story. But you still want to give them the best story you have. So it's a little bit different as far as, setting the bar for if it's friends and family versus general public, but it's the same concept overall. But just try to be as consistent as possible, because your reader can kind of get in the pattern with you and just enjoy the journey. All right, number 6, writing for revenge. Now, we've talked about tell-all memoirs. We've talked about just kind of just the facts and things like that. Don't write for revenge. Now, if you're going to write for revenge, let that be your therapeutic writing that does not get published, does not get shared. When you're writing for revenge, let that be just for you. Tear that thing up, burn it, do whatever, and just be done with it. Be free of it. But if you are writing for revenge, your reader probably doesn't have that emotional tie that you do. And so they're just going to think, wow, this person, either one, they feel bad for you because you got screwed over, but they don't really feel bad for you. They just feel like, or they'll actually just be totally disengaged, and you'll just be doing this for yourself. So it's very important. Remember also legal possible issues. You just don't want to air other people's dirty laundry. You don't want to talk about how much you hate that person in a book. Now, if you are a multimillionaire and it's worth it to pay a couple of lawsuits to just burn someone, that's a decision you can make. But I recommend speaking to an attorney before you write anything with revenge in mind. All right, number 7. Neglecting the reader. Don't neglect the reader. So in this, you want to keep your audience engaged and consider their needs. Now, I know that this is going to sound kind of weird at first because it's your story. It's your story. It's your book. You're telling the story. So why do you have to care about that reader? And if they don't like the story, then they're not your ideal reader. You might take that tone or that idea. And I wouldn't totally discount that, but I do want to be very clear that especially if you're doing this to share with others, you absolutely want your reader to be at the front and center in your mind as you do this, because your reader must feel like you're talking to them, or in the room they're journeying with you. These are just very, very vital. And if your reader doesn't feel that, they're gonna put the book down. All right, number 8, lack of self-reflection. So don't lack self-reflection. And the reason for this, and it's super, super important, is you're doing this for you. You're going through your life and your journey, and you're going through, and for a form of self-therapy as well. So really enjoy those times as you're going through the research time, as you're going through the reflection time. You need to really allow yourself to feel those things again. Even if they were bad, you still want to feel it a little bit, not like, re-traumatize yourself. No. But just recognize that was a really rough time, or that was a really amazing time, whatever it was for you. And then just make sure that as you do this, that you're feeling and noticing what you're feeling, so that then you know how to write it into your story. Because once you are aware of your feelings, then you can write them much better. So don't shortcut your self-reflection. Take the time to reflect on the experience, the insights, ensuring that your memoir is not just retelling the events, but sharing that journey with your reader. Number 9. Overuse of cliches. It's one of those things that's just pretty much widespread frowned on, because a lot of the times it's just, it may not be something that all readers even understand, the cliche. So it may not mean anything to them. It's basically, throw the baby out, different things like that. So when you use that, you're putting distance between you and your reader. So just be careful about that. And then finally, number 10, you don't want to rush the writing process. Give yourself the time to go through this, to reflect, to write, draft, pour out, pour, revise, rework, polish, ensure that it's the best representation of your story that you can come up with. Make sure that it conveys what you want it to convey, and then get some help with it. But don't rush through it, because if you do, it's very likely that it's gonna pale in comparison to what it could have been. All right, guys, there is your top 10 things to avoid when writing your personal memoir. Let's talk to you in just a second. Hi there, welcome back. We have focused and talked about, the 10 things not to do when writing a personal memoir. And I really don't like leaving you with just telling you what not to do. So I'm going to follow that up now with tips for overcoming the pitfalls of creating and writing a compelling memoir. All right, so this is the 10 things that you can do, that you should do to make sure that you are writing a great memoir. Now, number one, focus on your theme. If you haven't yet figured out what your theme is, what slice of your life story your story in your memoir is going to be about. Now, it can be a lot of stories, it can be a compilation of them, or it can be a sliver of it and just one little view into your life. You choose what you share. Nobody says, you really need to talk about that. That's up to you. But what you do need to do is make sure that you have that identified in advance, and that you know what you want to share, and everything that you talk about throughout your storytelling will actually feed into that one main focus. You don't want to, let's say you're talking about your career as a babysitter. You don't want to talk about babysitting, and then the baseball game that you went to that one time with this guy, if that has absolutely nothing to do with your babysitting story. Now, if it somehow leads into your babysitting stories, then absolutely you can put it in there. But if it's over there on the left field, or a baseball story, then obviously you don't want it in there. So go ahead and pour it out of you and copy or cut and paste it into a different document, so you never throw away your work, but it comes out of this story. So make sure that your focus is clear, and everything in your story feeds into that focus and your theme. Number two, create an outline. Now, if you know me at all, and I hope that you do, I am a huge proponent of outlines. It's just almost impossible to really remember everything that you need to get inside of something without using an outline of some sort. So like when I'm talking to you, I'm just talking to you, but I do have notes of what I want to talk about, because I don't want to mess up and leave something important out. And because I want it to be natural, that's good, because I want to be able to have that conversation with you. But I don't want you to miss out on my best tip ever, number 3, and because I was just, I got myself squirreled or something. So it's important to be authentic and natural, but you do need to be planned and prepared as well. So find a balance with that. If you see me every now and then looking, I'm not reading a script, but I am reading my notes of what I wanted to tell you about. So it's just very important. The same thing goes when you're in your story. You must have, in my opinion, an outline that literally walks you through the steps of your story. Now, number 3. Now, this is the one I almost didn't tell you. Be honest. Just be honest. Embrace your vulnerability. Embrace honesty. Let that show through in your writing. Your emotions need to come out of you and fall straight onto that paper, whether it's written by hand, whether it's typewritten, however you do it for yourself. Make sure that you're honest, that it just, every sigh, every tear, every hug, every dance, let your readers feel that with you. So number 4 kind of continues on to that. And I say this in pretty much every video. I may stop telling you so much, but I just want to make sure that nobody misses it. Show, don't tell. The way you do that is you're going to write, how you felt, the tears streamed down my face. I lost my breath, whatever it is that you're going to say. You want to be able to be honest and open and let the sensory words, that your reader will engage with, let them feel that with you. Number 5, develop your voice. Now, if you understand writing and having a voice, basically this is just saying, when I write personally, I'm very casual. Like when I'm talking to you, I'm very casual. I'm not overly formal. I am definitely not rigid and cautious and proper. If I'm being honest, I probably say F word a lot more than most people my age. Maybe not so much anymore because things have changed, but it's kind of funny. You want to be who you are and not be pretentious. Be who you are on writing too. So yes, if you're writing a formal paper for your work, you're going to write formally. But if you're writing a book, especially a personal memoir, you need that to be your voice. Just like you're talking, let that be you. Number 6, seek feedback. Now, I recommend that you seek feedback at your outline phase. You can even do it at the very beginning where you're just trying to hone in on your ideas, your general storyline. But definitely at your outline phase, when you've got your outline put together, you really want to ask someone who really does have some experience with reading stories. And even if they don't, I still like to ask more inexperienced readers their opinion as well. But I'll be honest, I will give them less weight in their opinions, just because if they're not avid readers, then there's a better chance that they may not be a good sampling of who's going to read your story more. So definitely, again, after you've drafted everything, you want to ask for some beta readers to read your completed, after it's drafted, after it's revised and reworked, after it's proofread and developed and you feel like this is it, then you definitely want a couple people again at that point to read and give you some feedback. You want people not to say, yeah, that was great. Oh yeah, that was really great. I loved it. Ask them, what did you like about it the best? What did you like about it the least? What 2 questions did you walk away with unanswered? Ask them questions that pick apart the story. You want to hear great things, but at the same time, you want to make sure that they're not just being kind. So make sure that you let them know you want the solid constructive criticism. You're not just asking, for an ego boost. So, because that's what's important, because I promise you, when people go on to the bookseller sites and leave reviews, if they didn't like it, they're not going to be kind. So get the bad feedback, the hurtful feedback, get it out of the way first before you get published. Number 7, edit and revise. Now, I know that sometimes, and especially when you're not used to writing, you will draft, proofread, and then be done. But that's not really all you need to do. You need to do some critical thinking. Make sure that the way you wrote it follows the outline. Make sure that everything is solid for what you want. And did it make sense? Is it in the right order chronologically? And then also you want to go into your proofreading and things like that. But that's not your only part, but just edit, 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 edit ruthlessly. Then, do your refining and your polishing after you've done the editing. Number 8, and this is important, even if, and I'm hesitant to say this, but even if you have to watch the TV shows or something like that, read other memoirs. I strongly recommend you read them, because the books and the adaptations of the shows are often very different. So read other memoirs, especially the more successful ones, because you want to model the success. Number 9, be patient. Writing a memoir is very complicated, it's complex, and it is an emotional journey. You're doing it because it's an emotional journey. You're doing it to help yourself work through some things in your life, and also to share those experiences with other people so they don't have to take the bumps and bruises like you did. There's a lot going on, but just be patient with yourself, with the journey. Make sure that as you go through it, that this is a process. My finish line is over there. I'm going to get there. And as long as you're moving forward, that's all that matters. You don't have to beeline straight over. That's not the goal. The goal is through the therapy and the self-healing that you receive on your own. Okay, number 10, stay true to your story. Remember that your memoir is your story. It's not anybody else's. Nobody can tell you what to put in there, what not to put in there. You have to face the consequences of what you've put in and what you've decided, but it is your story to tell. So just stay true to yourself, to your story, to the reason you're telling your story. Things like that will pay dividends emotionally and possibly financially on the other side of your completed memoir. There you have it, guys. The top 10 things to avoid when you're writing your personal memoir, followed by the ways to overcome the pitfalls. By following these guidelines, you'll be well on your way to creating a powerful, engaging, and authentic memoir that resonates with your readers. As always, thanks for following. Please subscribe. If you have not yet, please find the Memoir Mastery. It is a full course of about 14 hours of start to finish process class videos, where you will be able to just watch the whole thing in proper order. These are all additional videos that I'm putting out there that kind of fill in the gaps. But if you have not already watched the 14-hour Memoir Mastery course yet, please go and watch that now. 14 hours, I know you may not be able to do it in one sitting, but it is broken down by chapters. You can definitely bookmark your spot and then come back to wherever you left off. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Please comment below and let me know that you subscribed, and then let me know what questions you have, what other videos you would like me to add, and I will definitely get into the comments with you and make sure that I am always making you some new fresh content. All right, guys, have a great day and get your story out there. It is absolutely people are waiting for it. You may not realize it yet, but you have that story in you that someone is already just wishing somebody was out there to save and share with them. So on that, I am Sydney Brown, and I will talk to you soon.